What's up, everyone? Today I'm making a video about the rumors that have been flying around the internet regarding a potential remake for the game Assassin's Creed Black Flag. This is my favorite game in the Assassin's Creed franchise, and so I just wanted to take a moment and speculate on what would be cool to have in the game, what I'd want this remake to look like, and stuff like that. So just a disclaimer, this is not me saying what I think Ubisoft will do with the remake. What I think they'll do is disappoint us, given their track record, unfortunately. But this is just kind of me daydreaming, so I invite you guys to join me in this little daydreaming trip, and I would love to see your comments down below talking about what you think. I'd love to hear what you think about my thoughts, and we can just have a nice big discussion about what would be cool in this game. So I'm going to go over a few things. I'm going to go over what I hope will stay the same, what I hope will be different, and I mean, that's basically the two main categories here. So I'll go ahead and start with the easy one, which is what I hope will stay the same. And the short answer is everything. I mean, I'm hoping this remake will be just a reskinning, refinishing of the original game. I want to be able to boot up the remake and play through the campaign, explore the open world, and have the same kind of experience, feel like I'm playing the same game that I did when I first played the original. I want it to ooze the same vibe. Like, it can't, I don't want a new, different game. I don't want this open world RPG thing like Valhalla or Origins. I want it to be Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, back in our game libraries. As far as basically everything goes, I don't want them to change much. More specifically, don't make the parkour any worse than it already was. Not saying that was bad, but don't make the parkour worse than it was. The bare minimum should be keep it the same, so don't change that. I'll talk a little bit about this more in the next part. They should reuse the same soundtrack and voice acting for the original game. No need to re-record or revamp or redo the soundtrack or redo the voice acting, especially not with different actors. If they do want to re-record lines or record additional lines, then they should get the original voice actors to do that, because I don't know about you guys, but I fell in love with the voice acting of the original game, and that's like part of what draws me in, is the performances of those actors, and those voices give identity to the characters in the game for me. In a nutshell, this part of the video is just saying don't fix what isn't broken. And that takes me to the next part, which is what I would like to see them change. First of all, it probably goes without saying, but we don't need any loading screens anymore. That age of gaming has long since passed, and we are now in the age of seamless transitions, and this is something they touted with the release of the original game, about how you could just hop off your ship, go explore an island, and then go back to your ship, and there's no loading transition, nothing, except that with the main locations or the larger locations there still was a loading screen. So they can kind of do away with that. I don't think that's going to be a technical there's not going to be any technical limitation there. Second, what I'd really love to see, and this is a big one for me, is I would love to see organic underwater exploration, where, and what I mean by this is basically kind of what you have in the RPG games in Assassin's Creed Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla, where you can dive underwater and go like diving down underwater and explore underwater, explore little shipwreck things and stuff like that. I want to see that implemented, because it would make perfectly good sense in a pirate game, Assassin's Creed game, right? It would make perfect sense for this setting, and I think it could add a really fun, cool layer of exploration. And the way this wouldn't like negate the deep sea diving, the diving bell diving exploration that's already in the game, is you would simply have those locations where you need to use the diving bell, have them be farther down to where your character doesn't have enough breath to get down there to explore. So Edward would have to use the diving bell to explore those deeper down shipwrecks. I just think it would be a really nice little addition to be able to just dive underwater and explore around, bask in the glory of the Caribbean. Thirdly, when you are in ship combat, you shouldn't be able to board a ship in the middle of the fight. Like, you need to incapacitate all the ships around you and then board the ship. And when you board the ship, everything should be seamless like before. But when you're finished boarding the ship, you've taken over the ship, the kind of boarding summary screen that happens in the original game, I feel like they could figure out a way to do away with that and have the whole thing, it'll be a little bit more immersive, get rid of the silly cutscenes at the end of each boarding activity. That's what I would like to see for that. Just kind of make that polish up the ship gameplay, make it feel a little bit more immersive and organic. I mean, some things they even did better in Odyssey in regards to that, how it was sort of a seamless transition back to your own ship and that kind of thing. So I'd like to see them implement that sort of concept there. Fourth, I want to see them make the combat a little bit more challenging. It's kind of a breeze with the kill chains and stuff, so I don't really have any specific thoughts on how they would do this, how they would make it harder or more of a challenge without taking away the fun factor. But I want it to maybe even an optional higher difficulty setting for those of us who want a challenge with the combat to make it a little bit more engaging if you're there for some extra challenge. Definitely make a return with the human shield move. Super important. Have a way to counter those stupid rooftop gunners. Thank you, Unity. Keep the tool counter kills and the tool double kills because those are just sick. So we need them still. And then fifth, one other thing I'd like to see them change or add, change, is the way the collectibles are in the game. There is a ton of uncharted collectibles on those little silly sandbars in the middle of the ocean, which are a pain. It's a pain to get off your ship, go collect one little animus fragment, and then hop back on your ship. It's just not worth that effort and that time investment. And so what they need to do is decrease the quantity, increase the quality, and then you have a recipe for success. And one idea as far as increasing quality is to have those little sandbar areas, or maybe even make some of them slightly larger areas, but have maybe some more dynamic encounters possible, like randomized encounters, randomized events, like maybe you find a shipwrecked sailor there that you actually walk up and talk to, and like he doesn't feel just like an NPC, like another crew member added to your boat like in the original game. Just kind of add some sort of interesting encounters, add some different, maybe some crabs on the, I don't know, whatever. Come up with something to make it a little bit more rewarding. Maybe you never know what you're going to find on one of those sandbars or those smaller islands, and that would make it a lot more worth the time invested to get over there off your ship and explore. And also another thing about this, regarding the ship, getting off your ship and getting back on it, I would like to see them implement a little dinghy, like a little boat a rowboat you can get on, and use that to access certain areas of parts of Cuba or wherever, maybe swampy areas where the water's really shallow and there's not any docks sticking out and they're harder to access. And so you could swim, or you could take the dinghy out and kind of row out with a couple of your crew members or something. I think that would be really tight. Sixth, I would like to see them make the parkour environments bigger. And so this is bringing us back to the topic of parkour, which I touched on earlier in the video, how I don't want them to make it worse than it was. Don't fix what isn't broken. But an easy way to improve on the original game would be to take places like Havana or Nassau or Kingston, or even some of the smaller island areas, and just kind of make them bigger. Give us more of a playground to play with. That being said, I am a fan of them being historically accurate, and I'm not an expert on how big those locations actually were in real life, so kind of depends on that. If it's like, okay, yeah, this place really was just a tiny settlement at this period in history, then keep it that way. But if there's an option to expand it more, make it bigger, the more cool architecture to do parkour on, the better. Because I mean, you guys know me, I'm all about the parkour. And that brings us pretty much to the last point, and that's just that I would like to see them make the parkour better if they're going to change it at all. It kind of goes without saying. And what I mean by better, for me personally, that means having a lot more player choice involved from moment to moment. So any given context, you should have at least 2 or 3 options of what to do right there. An example would be you're approaching a fence. You have the option to either vault over it or mount up on it to maybe jump to something higher up or run up a tree or something or whatever. There should always be player choice. If you come to a bar, you should have the option to jump down and swing on it with your arms, or jump on top of it and land using a precision jump technique, or do precision stride jumps, stuff like that. I want to have player choice back, because in the RPG games it's pretty much not there. You rarely have the option to choose between those different moves, and that's what I want to see back in the games. So yeah, bring back, I mean, obviously they're going to be doing this in probably a completely new engine, at least not the engine the original game was built in, so they're going to have to rebuild the parkour from the ground up. But my expectation, or what my standard I'd like to hold them to, is for them to at least bare minimum recreate the original parkour system and if possible, build on that even more. Give us more control options of how to do different moves in different contexts. Give us more choice, more options for creativity, because that is what's going to draw me to the remake as opposed to the original game. And if the parkour is worse in the remake, then I'm probably going to still spend more time in the original than in the remake. Like, you have to give me a reason to want to play the remake. And I mean, already parkour is the reason I played the original game first and foremost. I mean, that's what drew me in initially, that and the pirate fantasy. And sorry for all you hardcore Assassin's Creed fans out there, but that was not the original reason I got into the game. So that being said, though, it goes without saying they shouldn't touch the story at all. It should stay the same. Beautiful writing, beautiful, like, the missions and everything should just kind of stay the same. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling at this point, so I'll go ahead and close this video here before it gets too long. I hope we can at least see some of this come to fruition. I'm really not optimistic, if I'm completely honest. I'm not expecting us to get anything close to this picture I just painted, but I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts. I'm curious to see who agrees with me on these points, what you think. If you disagree, what will explain your thought process. And yeah, I look forward to reading the comments in the comment section, so be sure to get down there and start typing. With that said, that will be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe and comment, and I will catch you guys in a future video. Peace.